Too many plugins and Delta X-Ray. I'm your host Alex. Today we're gonna talk about stop killing games, which is, by the way, a thing that is not just about video games. It is actually about software in general. Why there's in the next coming months, there's a lot of software is going to be unplayable, older software, and the whole transition of Windows 11, everybody going to Windows 11, Linux dropping support for 32-bit applications, and Windows 11 also in many modern operating systems don't support native 32-bit applications anymore, and also the big transition to Windows 11. There's lots of programs that we are using that also have online activators and stuff like that, and managers that will stop working, or you need to buy a new version that's then 64-bit Windows 11 compatible. And Linux are going to lose a lot also because they're going to jump now all over to Wayland. They're going to drop Xorg, so lots of applications, and also 32-bit software support is gonna end. So a lot of things are going to change, and a lot of programs that we used to use, they're not going to be updated. They're not going to work anymore. In Linux is a problem also is because Wayland doesn't support very well many applications, especially applications for people with certain disabilities that Xorg X11 really supports well. So a lot of things are going to change, but I want to come here to the Stop Killing Games initiative, which then also it started a little bit with the video game The Crew, that they just thrown offline. They had no more how do you call that, end of life support for this game, unfortunately. They just dropped the game completely offline, took off many people's game from their account. On my account is still there, I don't know why, but many people don't even have it in their account anymore, The Crew. And basically that's what Stop Playing Games basically started about. Of course, there were already games before that were all of a sudden being dropped to support, but it started a little bit with The Crew. But I wanted to actually come back to this because there are several games that are lately taken offline. Some games of EA Games and Epic also have taken this whole Unreal collection off of storefronts. You cannot buy it anymore. They promise sort of they're going to become an Unreal Tournament 3 sort of new version. They promised that already 3 years ago when they took the other ones basically out of the retail stores. You cannot buy them anymore. And by the way, I don't really see that quickly happening. It's already for 2 or 3 years going on like that, and they must be way more busy with Fortnite. But I wanted to come back over here to Project Reality and to EA actually, because EA is now throwing also offline Need for Speed Rivals that I actually myself play. Now, Need for Speed Rivals, they throw the multiplayer, the servers are gonna go offline. But EA, what they have done is they kept still a local single player you can keep on playing, and that's a little bit the story, with EA, and I know that many people hate EA with a passion, sometimes deserved, but if it concerns actually game preservation and working with the community, then I'm talking about the old EA over here, not the new EA. I don't know who's in charge now, I don't know what their philosophy now is. If they're also going for the you own nothing, you'll be happy kind of philosophy. But in the old times, actually, EA always found a way of keeping a game sort of running. They have done it also with Battlefield Bad Company 2. There's no multiplayer version available anymore. That's because the community didn't pick that up. But there was a possibility of doing that, like they have done also with Battlefield 2. Battlefield 2, they have many years, they have worked together with the team called Project Reality, which was first a mod that you needed the original Battlefield 2, and then you could run this mod. And when Battlefield 2 was taken offline, end of life, what they basically have done, they have allow these guys to continue this and to continue running their servers. And have basically, even allowed people. So now you can even download this version of Battlefield 2, Project Reality. You don't even need the original Battlefield 2 anymore. First you needed that, now you don't even need that anymore. So they have sort of handed over knowledge and little parts of the code or something. They have handed over to this project to keep Battlefield 2 alive through Battlefield Reality, Project Reality. So that is really, really cool, actually. Now, here I'm talking about 2011 or 12 that they handed over the code over here, so you can still play this online. It's, of course, not exactly the same as Battlefield 2, but it uses most of its resources. It's basically just one giant mod. That's basically what it is. It uses all sorts of assets of Battlefield 2, but then it's a mod. But they just allowed them to do that. So this was with the blessing of EA games. Then we have also, of course, Project Reality, the Reality mod, which is a modification for Battlefield 3. You need Battlefield 3 and all the expansions, the original one. And this one is also with the blessing of EA, and it verifies your CD key still online on the EA servers. So while the actual master server is taken offline, they have handed over a part of the code, and EA still allows Reality Mod to check if you have a CD key with all the expansions on the EA servers, and then you can run the Reality Mod. So this is also a way that they didn't kill the game. There's still a multiplayer available, and the single player you can play still through EA Origin or through Steam if you own it. Until now, all the servers are still online, but on console they're going to be taken offline. And I have the impression this one's going to be taken offline very quickly also. But then you have the continuation of the Reality Mod, which is just a modified version of Battlefield 3. And then still your CD key and your expansions can be verified. So there you go. That's quite cool, you know. So they had a good track record in that. And over here, I don't know if there's a possibility for the community to pick up the code for the master server. Probably going to be a little bit complicated the way this works. It sort of has a master server, but it makes also sort of peer-to-peer connections within the game if you move over the map. So I don't really know how that is possible, but I'm sure that people of the community can figure this out. But they left the single player and local play, they left just intact. So in one way or the other, they are here. They had this already in mind, apparently. There's a local play and a single player version embedded in the game. So EA probably already, when they designed this game, they already took in consideration the end of life of this game, you know. So in one way or the other, if you start looking to the Stop Killing Games project, you know, to keep it in some sort of playable state, locally, single player, or hand over the code to the community, you know. Actually, I have to admit that EA in that were doing so far always the right thing, you know. Here you, for example, have one also, Unreal Tournament 4, was also taken, was shut down on the January 24 of 2023. And this game was never fully released. It was always a beta, so there was never really a full release. You could just run it through Epic Game Launcher. And I've run it even before the Epic Game Launcher even existed. There was a way of running it also. And the community have basically, through a package catching, Wireshark or something, they have for a long time grabbed the packages and basically rebuilt the master server, and have created themselves, how do you call it, community servers that connect then to the UT4UU, and that's then this thing over UT4 master server, where you can still play the whole game. While it was never released, it was always in a beta state, and you know, it's quite impressive, the community that have done this, you know. So you know, if you look at this, you know, I have to really admit that so far in the past, and then now also with Need for Speed Rivals, that apparently EA thinks about that when they create the game, and they leave the games in a playable state. I have never had a game, as far as I remember, and I use Origin for, I don't know, 15 or 20 years probably, never had a game released or removed from my account or completely stopped working. Yes, multiplayer component servers then going offline, but also in Need for Speed Most Wanted and a bunch of other older games that I still have that are perfectly still, at least locally or as a single player, still completely playable. So, we have to give props to that, but then, and this goes by the also for plugins and stuff, some plugin manufacturers, I'm looking at U-Waves, give you only a certain amount of updates. Bitwit Studio does that also, and what a lot of companies can now do, they can release new versions that are only Windows 11 compatible, don't support 32 bits anymore, and they can basically like that force people to again buy a plugin or a digital audio workstation. And with many other software and games, that's basically what's going to happen also, So, and people understand, that leaving in a playable state, or handing over the code to the community to minimum locally or with community service keep something running, it's not that every live service online, always online only game all can be converted complete to a single player or to a community service or a local player or something. It's not always possible, but as you can see, the community have done crazy things. Unreal Tournament 4 is an example of that, where they have taken basically a game that was never released even, and that ran only online. Had a small single-player thing in it also, but it was basically only online. It was never even released, and the community was still capable of creating a master server and community server. So, it is possible, it would be nice only if companies really start a little bit thinking about end of life and having some sort of a playable single-player local play kind of a community server, kind of a continuation of games. That they think about. Apparently, it is possible, as you can see with many projects that I'm mentioning over here. So, but be prepared that in the next year there's all sorts of programs, even normal software that you're using that. Gonna move to Windows 11, and even on Linux things are changing also, where programs will stop working because of Wayland or because of they drop the support, and especially video games are very sensitive for that. Many video games, not even such old ones, are still running on 32-bit software, so, there's a lot of stuff in the next years, and the companies also can release new versions, only Windows 11 compatible and stuff like that, only 64-bit, and can start forcing you to buy applications again or pay upgrades and stuff like that. So let's see what the future is gonna hold. But don't forget, by the way, if you're a member of the European Union, until I think the end of this month, you can still go to the initiative Stop Killing Games, and there you can sign a petition on the European Union website. We are 1.3 million. Sign more, because it will be really good. The more we have, some of them are considered double entries, or people have a little bit, how do you call that, committed fraud in these petitions, have signed a petition 2 times and stuff like that. So the more votes we have over here, then some can be still eliminated, or false ones, but that we stay always on 1 million. That would be really good. Are you a member of the European Union? Go to stopkillinggames.com, sign the petitions for the UK or for the European Union, sign a petition in the EU or in the United Kingdom, Great Britain. And the French people have also here one. And you can here also make complaints. So here you have to really fill in a complaint about if you're owner of the crew. But this one's only if you're owner of the crew. This one is a general petition of if you want the continuation in one form or the other of a video game in single player, hand over the code, or local play, that the community can make a continuation of software, video games, etc. Sign it while you can. It's until the end of the month, if I'm not wrong. Let me see. Does it actually mention here how long this partition lasts? Doesn't really say over here. Let me see, by the way, if we go to the initiative in Europe, for how long we can sign this. Don't even mention that. No, it doesn't mention that. But anyway, Philantine, while you can, join the movement and protect video games. And by the way, other software also. They say stop killing video games, but I think that there's lots of other software that's also totally vulnerable to this. To just them turning off servers, forcing you to upgrade to newer versions, and and also just companies that go, bankrupt or stop their gaming or software platform or DAW or VST plugin platform or activator or manager. Then all of a sudden you also lose the access to the software and the plugins that you bought. So I think there's way more ways that actually software, stop killing software, is actually for me a better term, because I think that we look only at video games, but I think that in the next year or two, people are going to realize that there's going to be way more programs and software going to be susceptible to this to this thing that companies are doing, purely out of monetary gains for not paying maintenance costs or because a game doesn't collect enough revenue anymore for the companies. They don't make their millions and their trillions anymore, and it just pull the plug. Anyway, sign a petition while you can. I hope you enjoyed this. Stay safe, take care, and I'll catch you in the next